Welcome to Bleav In 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav In 76ers is presented by BetOnline.AG.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bleav In 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash here with legendary 76ers point guard Eric Snow and my brother Teja Dash. The trifecta is back. Last week I had I want to say it was kind of a bad flu, or not bad flu, bad cold, maybe a little bit fluish, but I'm good to go now. I heard what you guys had to say about me being softer from the softer generation. Took that to heart a little bit, but came back to the show.
We didn't say anything about the generation.
I did. Remember?
We didn't say generation. We just said,
Yeah, you said soft.
I didn't say generation. Yeah.
Wait, you said soft. Teja made a generational thing, which, if he wants to make it that game, he is technically a millennial, as am I millennial. So if you want to say softer generation, you are still in the same generation as me. So. And
I'm sick right now, and I don't feel great. So yeah, I hear you. I hear you and feel you.
Yeah, but you know what? I think there's a whole thing going around the league. I mean, Embiid's not playing games. Maxey missed the game with the illness. And then I think seeing other guys in the league. I think Trae Young might miss the game tonight because of an illness. So it's going around.
Illness related? I didn't know it was illness related. Is it?
Yeah, that's what I read earlier. So something's going around. So
I couldn't imagine playing with this. This would be brutal.
If I had a game, I probably would have played last Friday. I probably would have missed shoot around though.
Yeah, you would have missed shoot around. Yeah, you'd have been in bed by halftime.
Eric, when you see guys miss shoot around, like, why is that? Like, obviously, usually when the guy misses shoot around, there's a chances of they're probably not going to play on that game on like that at night. But like, how crucial is the whole shoot around to playing? Like, let's say like I miss shoot around, but I play on Friday night. What does that mean? Like, is that like does that negatively impact a player if they miss shoot around?
I mean, the whole shoot around thing has been there's so many things that goes around that whole shoot around myth thing. Majority of the guys in the league don't want to do shoot arounds. Don't think you need to do shoot arounds. So a guy missing a shoot around when I played, it wasn't looked at as, well, maybe he won't play. It was just looked at, he just missed the shoot around. Like him missing the shoot around was more of putting him in better position to play. More so than him missing the shoot around, so that means he's not going to play the game. It's just looked at differently. You know what I'm saying? So if you didn't feel well, they're like, okay, well, don't go to shoot around, go rest up, and hopefully you feel better later so you can play.
Okay.
Now people don't miss shoot around. They like, well, I'll see you in 3 games. That's just where it's different.
Yeah, because the whole shoot around aspect, like,
but also didn't miss a lot. So we just didn't miss a lot of games. So guys were more inclined to miss a shoot around or practice over a game.
Must be a generational thing.
I can't necessarily blame the players only when, the team encourages it, enables it. So you can't just blame the players.
Yeah. Yeah, because the shoot around thing, like when you go to games and stuff and you see like guys are doing their shoot around like about an hour to 2 hours before the game, obviously shoot arounds at noon on the day of the game. So like there is time to shoot around as far as like to get your shots in and warm-ups before the game.
Yeah, I mean, like what shoot around, I get it from a standpoint of if you have a road game, for instance, and you want to go and get some shots up on that particular court. As far as the prepping and walking through the plays and the things and walking through what you want to do, like that can be done right before the game. Like that can be done in a hallway. Like you don't necessarily need a court to do that. Like we've done shoot-arounds in ballrooms in the hotel, in the conference room. We've done shoot-arounds. Okay, put some tape on make a little Nerf ball and do a shoot-around. We've done that. So what do you think people do on back-to-backs? They don't have shoot-arounds. So what's the difference? You don't have shoot-arounds on back-to-backs, and you still go play the game. Shoot-arounds to me is overrated. Like I've heard different rumors on why people have them, to try to discourage people from hanging out the night before, which doesn't work at all, if that's the reason. So I'm not necessarily against them, but I don't think it is something that needs to be a part of the game. I just don't see it that way. Like I think maybe in college it's different because it's repetition in college. And you have fewer games per week. But in the NBA, when you're playing an opponent and you're playing a different opponent in 2 days, your prepping for that game should have already been done by then. The shoot around is just more of going over what you're going to do, more so than establishing what you're going to do.
Like a formality almost.
You may make a few tweaks. Like if you play a team, you approach every game trying to do what you do, whatever you believe in, and then you may play any particular team. You may have to make an adjustments based on who you're playing. You're playing the Lakers, you got to make an adjustment with LeBron and AD. How are you going to defend them one-on-one? How are you going to defend their pick and rolls? You go and play the Joker. Okay, are we going to double him? Are we going to play him on the perimeter? How are we going to play him on the post? If we do double, how are we going to double? Off a particular player, off the top, off the bottom? Like you have to make those adjustments each game, and that's something you kind of go through and for shoot around and you talk about it and you walk through it. But like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be on a court to do that. That's why people don't necessarily always have shoot arounds at the arena. Sometimes you have it at your practice facility.
It's interesting. That's funny. That's just a way to try to keep you from not going out. It's like all you're doing is, if that's not going to happen, all you're really doing is making the shoot around shitty.
Guys, because most guys are going to get some sleep before the shoot around and they'll get some afterwards. Like that's what they do. Like most NBA guys can play a game on a few hours of sleep. Now they may be tired afterwards, but they can play a game on a few hours.
Now, if it's a back-to-back, that next night's game is going to probably be way worse. If they don't catch,
like we always said that the saying was always, the game in Miami don't get you. It's always a game afterwards.
That's true. Yeah.
That's funny. So obviously, we got some stuff to talk about this week. It's been about a week since our last show. So we're going to dig in here with talking more about Tobias Harris. Last time you guys were on, you guys talked a little bit about Tobias, kind of his sticking with the same numbers that he usually has, whether he's the 1 or the 2 option. So this is kind of sticking with that same aspect here. So in the 9 games that Kelly Oubre has played in, since Kelly Oubre is back finally, so that's good. He's recovered from his bike accident. Allegedly. But in the 9 games that Oubre has played in, Tobias Harris has been the 3rd highest scorer in 5 of those games. To start the season, we assumed that Tobias was the 3rd option behind Embiid and Maxey. And, we obviously assumed that was going to happen when, Nick Nurse was going to unlock him. That was kind of the talk and the buzz. But what's your confidence level in that for the rest of the season that Tobias would be the 3rd option behind Maxey and Embiid?
So going forward,
yeah.
I would say it's high that he's going to be that third guy. But I think that him being that third guy, he's closer to that fourth option than he is 1 and 2. That fourth option will have games or a streak where they may outscore him. But I think in the long haul of the season, when you talk about averages, I think he'll be that guy.
So before I get to mine, I just want to ask you, based off what you just said. So for rest of the season, when Maxey, Embiid, Oubre, and Harris are all in the game, or also all healthy and playing, do you think Harris will end up being the third highest scorer in that game more often, or Oubre will be the third highest scorer in those games?
Harris. In the long haul of the season.
Okay.
I mean, I think the one thing that Oubre has going for him is he has shown the ability with this team to score in a good amount of scoring without plays being called for him and without particular catch and shoot. So if he keeps that up, it'll be close. I just think at the end of the day, I think as the season goes on, and we all know we're about to start playing better teams, especially as the NFL ends, that I think it'll balance out. And I think Tobias will end up being more of a focus from the team and the coaching staff as time goes on.
It seems to be so game to game.
Because if he's not, then that, to me, that doesn't spell something good for us.
Yeah. Or Tobias.
I mean, I don't think it bodes well for us if he's not. That's what I'm saying for Tobias. I don't think it bodes well for him, for us and him, if he's not.
Yeah. Just Oubre's just so much more aggressive. He just lets it fly. It's like he just gets the ball, and if he's open, he's got the space, he shoots it. Tobias just like seems like, I don't know, man. He's like that quarterback.
But that's also style of play. But that's style of play, though. Like that's what I'm saying. When you're in a style of play and you've always played free like that, that's where it's different. That's where Oubre has been a good fit because of what they're kind of allowing him to do. It's been other guys that's been in that role and hasn't succeeded thus far like he has, because that kind of fits his style a little more.
Yeah, if you look at Oubre's all team, I mean, let's be honest, Oubre's mostly paid for bad teams where he just can do whatever the hell he wants and just come off the bench and just shoot like 15 times off the bench and just let it fly. That's been his role. So it's fit in pretty easily and nicely with us. I just feel like, I feel like Harris is like one of those quarterbacks who won't pull a trigger on throwing the ball to the guy's like wide open. Like he just won't just let it rip when, right when the guy turns, right? Like he has to wait till the guy's like fully open and then the cornerback gets there in time and knocks the ball down before he can get to the ball there. It's just, it's just a frustrating thing with him. He's got the ability to, but like you said last week, you feel like he needs a coach to tell him, you got to get yours today. Like you need to shoot more today. You need to be more aggressive today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm firm on that. I feel like it needs to be stressed with him, and it needs to be stressed with the team. The players, the team, they all need to make it important to accomplish that. Like they really need to do that.
I feel like it's always been, I think, part of Tobias's detriment, especially with the Philadelphia era that, in part of his career. I feel like it's always just been assumed he'll just fall in line and create that role himself and run with it, right? He came when we had the Simmons and Embiid lineup, and it was like, oh, well, I mean, Tobias is going to have so many open opportunities. He'll figure it out. And then when Harden came, it was like, man, Tobias is going to have so many open shots now with Harden and Embiid drawing attention. He'll figure it out. I feel like he's always just kind of just thrown in there and expected to deliver without much of like a game plan for him, or like you said,
But that's the thing about it. He's in all the instances that you spoke about, it was all about him figuring it out and getting the shots in a situation that's not necessarily best for him. And that's what the issue is. If we're saying he's a spot up shooter and he's a catch and shoot guy, we all know that's not what he does best. We all know he can do it, but that's not what he does best. So that's where it's different. That's where you kind of get it's not really the inconsistency, but it's not the dominance that we know he's capable of doing. But that's where that dominance is like a roller coaster, because he's not always in position to play the certain way or play an impactful way that he's able to stay with it consistently. It's just hard to accomplish.
Yeah. And with a lack of touches, you just got to be so friggin' efficient to be effective.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I said it has to be a point of emphasis to get him the ball and call plays for him. He needs plays and touches. And he touches with plays. Like, that's what he needs.
Yeah.
And we all know they're not doing that this year. He's scoring, but they're not doing that.
If you look at his shot attempts too, I mean, besides last year, which, we had Harden, Embiid, and Maxey, we knew the shot attempts were going to be low last year. Besides last year, it's his lowest shots per game since 2016 with Detroit. That's a long time, and 13.1 this year. His 2-point percentages aren't bad. It's at 51% from the field. His 3-point percentage is bad. I think it's just under 32%. So that just has to be better. And I think he'll have some positive regression and kind of equal it out a little bit. He's just not shooting well so far. But we look at Oubre, though, he's averaging 2 points less than him, shooting the same percentage on 2 less shots per game, 5% higher from 3. So that's where he kind of makes up the difference there. But yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a terrible problem to have where if you have 2 guys who can potentially be your number 3 scorer. Again, I don't want to count money, but when you look at Oubre and Tobias doing similar things, one guy's making 1.7 and one guy's making like 40.7.
Well, but you can make the argument that Oubre is playing for one of those contracts where you have that added hunger aspect.
Man, here's the thing, Marcus. Oubre can average Tobias's career high this year, and he won't be getting that money. Okay, so he did average that last year. Oubre averaged 20 points a game. What did that get him? That got him 1.7.
So I know this is Tobias and Oubre to this question, but
yeah, I mean,
what are you gonna say, Eric?
Go ahead, Eric.
Say it again. No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. I know we're talking Tobias and Oubre, but like this is, so now that Oubre's healthy and now that Batum, his personal reasons are gone, we're finally going to have a more consistent aspect of having both those guys, Batum and Oubre. Oubre's first game back, Batum was still in the starting lineup. How do you see the minutes between the two of them? How do you think they're going to kind of juggle the rotation between those two guys? Because it seems like they're kind of playing the same role, Eric. How do you think the nurse is going to kind of juggle those two?
Be interesting, but I can probably see him playing Kelly more of a 2 and Milton some 1. I think Pat, the way he's played recently, will make that hard. And I think you'll see Batum playing some 4. And that'll come down to, how well Twin plays and Paul. So I don't think it's going to be any set way. I just think you have those top 8 guys and you're going to kind of work it based on who's playing well and based on your competition and the size of your competition, who's playing, who can defend who, matchups. I really do think it is probably be a game-by-game thing on the minutes for the 3 reserves off the bench. The starters, I believe their minutes are going to be consistent for the most part. But I think those other guys, it could, waver a little bit.
Do you think they'll stick with Batum at the starting three and kind of what it is right now? Because Oubre before he got injured was starting at the three.
Yeah, but that was when he got injured. We had just made the trade, correct? Or was it right before, right after? Like when was it?
I think it was right after as when he got injured.
Did he play with those guys before he got?
I think Oubre and him had one crossover.
After the trade?
I think Oubre and him had one. Oubre and Batum had one crossover game, I believe, before the injury.
I can actually see it going either way. I think if they do put Kelly back in the lineup, it won't be immediate, like over time. I think that it would Batum would probably have to not play well, or the team is not playing well for them to really go right back to it. I think they're probably comfortable having him come off and be able to give them that offensive burst more so than maybe the other guys that are coming off the bench with him. So I can see them leaving it just like that and, making an adjustment later in the season if the way we're playing calls for it.
You got to remember, too, Batum is not a minutes hog. His last 3 years, he's averaged around 22, 23 minutes a game. So, even if he does start, he's not going to play like crazy starter minutes. So, you have a chance there to kind of mix and match your lineups.
And
I'd rather not overplay Batum.
I believe that even if Batum does start, he won't. I don't think he would play more, even if he does start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so moving on here. So Eric mentioned that we're going to be coming to a kind of difficult part of our schedule, but not before we have to go through this really easy stretch that's coming our way. So the combined record of our next 6 opponents is 30-93. These next 6 opponents are Atlanta, back to playing Washington again. We have Detroit 2 times in a row. Oof. We have the Charlotte Hornets, and then we have the Chicago Bulls. The Detroit Pistons, if you don't know, are on an 18-game losing streak. So there you go. So we can play those two times this week. So that'll be fun. So my question to you guys is: would anything other than a 6-0 week be a disappointment?
I think we need to win those games. If we're talking about home court advantage, we need to win those games. But 6-0, I would be fine with 5-1. 4-2 maybe, but if we're serious about getting home court advantage, we have to win. We have to win. 5 or 6 of those games. 4-2. You would look at it from the Bulls standpoint. Bulls have beaten some good teams before, and Atlanta have beaten some good teams. So it's not like we're playing teams that, I'll be disappointed if we lose to the Pistons. We shouldn't lose. Yeah. Charlotte's beaten some good teams. They have. So those teams can, Washington has beaten us before, even though, recently we've kind of had their number, but
they almost won that game.
So that's why I say 4-2 wouldn't shock me. It would probably start my little disappointment a little bit. 4-2 would.
I would be disappointed with 4-2. 5-1 wouldn't shock me because we tend to kind of have letdown games against inferior opponents. We almost lost against Washington. If we didn't get hot at the end of that fourth quarter, and if Kuzma last couple minutes,
that's what I'm talking about.
They play pretty well, man.
So the Detroit games are what, home and home?
I think it's split, actually.
I have the schedule up right here. It's split at Detroit, then 2 days later at Philly. We got 2 at home straight, Atlanta, Atlanta at Philly, Washington at Philly, at Detroit, and then Detroit at Philly, and then at Charlotte, and then back at home for Chicago. So a little mini all-star break for them.
Yeah, we should win it all.
If Harden was still on our team, this would be the week they would tell him, all right, go ahead and go back to Houston or go to Vegas and have a good time, man. You don't have to play for the next few days. Yeah, I would be 30-93. That's insane. That's crazy. Like, if you say it that way, it's like, man, I don't want to lose any of those games. But yes, the two that you said, Chicago and Atlanta, those are the ones I could swallow a little better than the other ones. Especially with Chicago actually looking pretty good without LaVine, which is interesting. They're playing more like a team now without him. So yeah, I mean, I expect us to go 6-0. I'm gonna, every time we do a game prediction, I'm gonna pick the Sixers against these teams every single time. But it wouldn't shock me if we had one clunker in there, especially if we rest guys too, right? Because you know, like if you're gonna rest guys, this would be the stretch to do it. One or two of these games.
Yeah, especially with the sickness going around too. You never know who could catch something.
Or just kill teams by the third quarter, and Embiid doesn't play in the fourth like we did earlier in the season.
Save their legs, yeah.
Yeah.
And the 30-93 record, it is kind of skewed because we played Detroit twice on there. So you're writing that record twice in there.
It makes it really bad. It's like whoa.
Yeah. I feel for Monty over there. I think Monty will, flip the switch and turn that around at some point. Yeah. I think their name has been tied to LaVine. That's been a possible rumor. Detroit trading some of their young pieces to get LaVine. So interesting how that whole thing will work. So the next topic we got. Yeah. Well, I think right now. I think based on all the reports, LaVine ain't coming to Philly. So I mean, and I think I saw a report Lakers aren't interested in LaVine anymore. I think that's what I read. I think they're interested in DeRozan, but they're playing well right now with DeRozan kind of manning the ship.
And Caruso.
And Caruso, yeah.
But they're saying Caruso's their biggest trade chip they have right now. That's they don't want to trade him because I saw some weird report yesterday. They don't want to trade Caruso because he's their best success story in a long time for Chicago.
I mean, what? He wasn't even their success story. I mean, he panned out with the Lakers and then came over to you guys.
Yeah, I don't understand, but
how not? How you don't run a franchise in 2023? There you go, Chicago.
Yeah.
I've had it.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, we'll save that for the Bulls podcasts. Okay, so big thing everyone's talking about, and a lot of people were, when we got Nick Nurse, it was like, oh man, he's a great defensive coach. Our defense is going to be great. He's going to implement a great system. Defense is going to be fine. But the Sixers are kind of the defense is being called into question by a lot of fans. People are kind of pissed off about what's going on out there. Obviously, fans get mad about everything, especially Philadelphia fans. However, defensively, I mean, there was something here. I mean, the Sixers have given up at least 122 points 5 out of the last 7 games, and have given up the 11th most points per game over the last 10 games. I mean, Eric, you were probably one of the best defenders we've had in Philadelphia ever in my lifetime. Just overall, what are you seeing defensively? What are we lacking right now? Is it scheme? Is it hustle? I mean, what's going on, Eric?
Well, I mean, I think it's a combination. I wouldn't necessarily say scheme is much and hustle per se. I would say it's more of teams are like I always say, as you play the season, teams start to figure you out. So teams are now the statistics, and you're a month or so in. Now teams are saying, okay, well, this is what they struggle with. They do this. This is how you can attack them. So you're seeing more teams attack them in transition, and you're seeing more teams put Joel in pick and roll. One, he has to make a decision. If he's going to drop back, they're coming off shooting. If he comes up, it's pulling them away from the rim protection and rebounding. So making the decision on how you're going to play the pick and roll with Joel, the transition defense, and offensive rebound. And rebounding. The offensive rebound teams being able to offensive rebound and being able to convert easier baskets or kick out threes from that. So it's the usual suspects, but I think that the emphasis for teams to push and run and transition has picked up. And then, like I said, that what are you doing in the pick and rolls with Joel? Because people are doing that to get his activity up, try to wear him down, and pull him away from the rim.
I don't like the amount of points we're giving up, but the one, I guess not positive, but the thing that equal it out a bit, right? It's looking across the NBA, scoring just higher than last year. Like the highest scoring team in the league right now sits at 128 per game. Guess who that is, by the way? You probably all guess who that is.
Indiana?
Yeah. 128 per game. The highest scoring team last year was 120. And it's a big difference. The average top five last year was 118. The average top five is almost 123. So just in general, scoring is at higher. Is defense down or is scoring higher? I don't know. But it sounds like a league-wide thing of just like, more points allowed. I'm not too concerned yet. But we did make a trade technically it was in season. We've had guys in and out of the lineup. We have the illnesses. So, hopefully once we have a consistent, maybe third scorer, we don't have to rely on MB to put as much offense. Maybe he can give a little more energy on defensive side. I feel like he's playmaking a little more, so maybe he's just not as active defensively, but if he can just get back to being the anchor and down low, maybe it could be better. It's weird. It's across the league, so I'm not that concerned yet.
Eric, at what point does this have to go for you to be like, okay, there's a red flag here? At what point, if this continues, like till All-Star break, you're like, all right, we have a defensive issue.
Well, I think when you start losing multiple games because of it, and it'll show, I think that you'll see opponents consistently doing the same thing. And it impacting you, and you're losing games from it, or you're losing leads from it, or you're getting down big because of it. That hasn't necessarily happened. There's been more of flashes, but when you see the consistency in that, then it's like, okay, something needs to change. And I Bleav that they'll make the adjustment. It'll be either by schematic or personnel, but that's when you'll know, like, okay, this is something that needs to be addressed. And if it doesn't get addressed, maybe it's just something we can't change and can't impact, which is even the scarier thought.
Mm-hmm. So we're 4-3 when giving up over 120 points in a game.
Small sample size.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Oh.
Still,
yeah, we have plenty of time. We're not even midway through December right now. So,
and this might not even be our final product of a team. So, you know what I mean? Like, who knows what we get back in there? We can use this time again, like we said earlier in the season, to kind of redefine and look to see what holes we need to plug. Oh, we need a perimeter defender. Oh, we need an on-the-ball defender to guard ones. So, we just need to evaluate. That's what this time's for.
Yeah, and keep pushing the buck.
Yeah.
We got a piece in December. You can't really base our defense on this right now.
Yeah,
that's anyway. Okay, so we're gonna go to our final topics of the episode. We have Friday night. We're back in action. We're playing the Atlanta Hawks at home. We are an 8-point favorite as of right now. Going to see what happens with Trae Young. He's questionable going into tonight. We've played Atlanta once already this season. We won that game. Who do you guys have, and what are you guys looking for in the game against the Atlanta Hawks?
Well, I think we're home. I think we'll beat them. Hawks talent's there. I just think they've been really inconsistent. If Joel can, obviously he plays the way he's played before, we'll definitely get it. but we can't let their bigs kind of match his play, which has happened in the past. We'll need to defend. I think our guards have to make Trey defend and make him work. We can't let him kind of play make and score and make plays, get to the free throw line. The wing perimeter guys are very similar to ours. So it's a team that could be a sort of a difficult matchup for us. So I think we'll win it. I think they'll play us close, but I think we'll win it.
Yeah, last time we played Atlanta, Maxey had 19 points, 8 assists, and Embiid went 32-8-7 in that game.
Okay.
Pretty solid.
I'm also expecting a good game from Tobias Harris. Last three games against Atlanta, he's averaging almost 25 and almost 9. 25 and 9 in the last 3 games. He had 29 and 10 against them last time we played them a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
Damn.
So it's kind of like if he has struggles against them, then look out. Because it's a team that he plays well against. So I really want to see him have a good game against someone he has a good game against usually. But yeah, I think we win and cover. I think we win by what's the spread? 8?
8. Yep.
Yeah, I think we covered that. Probably close to that though. Probably 8 to 10. I think we win by.
I'll say we don't cover but win.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Teja praising Tobias and as a prediction.
Not
All right.
really. Not really.
There's a little caveat there.
Yeah,
I gave him. I see he has good stats against him. I was honest about that.
But you gave it but if he has a bad game, there's problems.
Yeah, because that's someone. I mean, you go out, like it's like he kills them. So it's like, okay, well then, if you don't kill him now, what's going on, man? He knows that too. He just had 29 and 10 against them. The Tobias doesn't just squeeze out 29s and 10s every other
That's
game.
true.
Okay? That's a big game for him. So he remembers that one.
That's his highest point total of the season, right? It has to be. He hasn't hit the 30 mark yet.
I'd say it might be the highest point total last couple seasons. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have our final game prediction before our next show on Tuesday. We got Monday night. We host the Washington Wizards. Obviously, we just talked about that game. We just played them in Philly. In Washington. That was a close one, but nonetheless, we came out victorious with Embiid's amazing performance. Who do you guys have in this game against the Washington Wizards on Monday?
We'll win that game. I think they'll come out with energy early on. We'll pull away and cover later in the second half. Sort of similar to the way the last game went, but we'll extend that lead earlier.
I'll be very curious to see what the spread is of that game because they played us really tight. I would even maybe take like a Wizards cover the first half, we win the game type bet. Because they tend to stick around in the beginning and then we kind of pull away a little more. But I think they'll play us tight again. Something about them is they hang around, man. But I do think we win just because I think we have to look at those opportunities and be like, we can't lose to teams we should beat. That's it. If you want to be anything more than like the third option that everyone always calls us, like we're behind the Bostons and Milwaukee's of the world. You got to beat these teams.
Yeah.
Could be one of those look-ahead games, though. They see we got Detroit coming up.
Oh, yeah.
No, I was making a joke.
It should actually be like, look, man, MB, go out there and roast them. You had 50 against them last time. You'll probably rest against the first game against Detroit. So go ahead and go nuts. Go nuts.
All right, so it looks like consensus 2-0 until we meet again on Tuesday.
Oh, and by the way, that was Tobias Harris's highest point total since 2 years ago, February 8th against Phoenix 2 seasons ago.
Wow.
So you're saying we need to play Atlanta a lot?
No, that game wasn't Atlanta. I'm just saying overall, period. That was his highest point. 29 was his highest point since February of the 2021 season. So
just play Tobias. I think Eric's saying just play Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Time and we'll get Tobias's numbers, and you'll like the contract after that.
Yeah,
and you'll get out of his pocket.
Yeah, Teja will green light the contract.
Yeah, he'll need to pay Atlanta some of that tax. We have to do after that.
All right, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, Sixers go 2-0 this weekend. Take it easy, everybody.
Enjoy.
All right, take it easy.